Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to a late night edition of Raider Sports. But very big news has come out of the Pac 12 that we have to discuss, and it's all about realignment. Pac 12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff has come out and said that within the next couple weeks, the Pac 12 will, in fact, be making a decision about whether or not to realign. So, the two questions we have to ask ourselves is first, what teams are they talking to? And number two, why would the Pac 12 expand? I want to take on the latter first and then we'll go to the fun stuff. But the reason the Pac 12 I feel like they have to expand is not because they want to. Because I think if given the choice, the Pac 12 would rather stay the 12 teams that they have. But I feel like their arm is getting twisted due to this uh, alliance that they have between the ACC, the Big Ten, and themselves. And with the fact that the ACC has 14 teams, the Big Ten has 14 teams, and the Pac 12, of course, has 12, in order to keep the alliance and the scheduling on an even keel, the Pac 12 would definitely have to expand by two teams. I feel like that's a definite possibility, and if not a damn near certainty. So I feel like stay tuned because in the next couple weeks, we're going to find out that two more teams are joining the Pac 12, or if the magic number with what the SEC did is 16. Now everybody wants to go to 16, then the Big Ten and ACC have to add 2, and the Pac 12 has to add 4. But for this experiment, let's just say flat right across the board. Magic number right now is 14. So the Pac 12 adds 2 teams. And George Kliavkoff has come out and actually said that they have had meetings with everybody who is interested and that they've concluded them and that they're just waiting to make an announcement on what to do. And so if they are going to expand by 2 teams, what are those 2 teams? My odds-on favorite right now would have to be Texas Tech. Texas Tech is in the biggest recruiting state that you would want. They fit academically, they fit culturally. They're kind of that nerdy school in the South with all the other nerdy schools in the Pac-12, so they fit there. They're in kind of western Texas, which cuts the travel to Arizona and Arizona State, which they just fit too well not to fit in. It's actually kind of amazing. And in order to get a Pac-12 footprint, you only need one Texas school. You don't need TCU and you don't need Baylor. And TCU and Baylor don't fit academically, and they definitely don't fit politically because the Pac-12 having a lot of more liberal schools has already pretty much said that religious affiliated schools aren't getting in. No matter how TCU, tries to get away from that Texas Christian label, even coming out in their media guide saying, just call us TCU from now on. It's not going to work in this case. And if any religious affiliated school was going to get in, BYU would have gotten in a long time ago. I'm pretty sure of that. And so Texas Tech, fits the recruiting bill. They are a tier 1 research facility, as we talked about in my video, where the Big 12 teams would go. Realignment made simple, pretty much. So we've talked about that. And I just feel, and with the Texas Tech athletic director already coming out and saying that he's been on the phone 16 hours, obviously, if you're burning up the phone lines like that, there's some interest somewhere. And so I believe this whole thing is just coming together perfectly for TCU to be a 2025 Pac-12 school. And the second one, it doesn't get simple, but I think the best available team would be the best program, which in the Big 12, what you have left is probably Oklahoma State. I mean, I could see somebody maybe making a run for, saying that maybe Kansas State, but it's Oklahoma State. They're the most consistent. Basketball, they just got, the number one overall pick in Cade Cunningham. And nothing says West Coast quite like Coach Gundy's hair. And so you can really see that dude, lying on a beach somewhere in California grabbing a surfboard. And but they also have the tier 1 research facility. They're not religiously affiliated. They're a good football program. They're a good basketball program. And so they fit kind of snug. But two teams I really want to say, since they said these meetings concluded with teams you would know and teams you would be surprised to find out. Two teams of note here. Watch for Houston for almost the same reasons as TCU. Texas Tech. Except they got an even bigger market in Houston. And so if they're really looking at TV revenue, Houston might be a way that they go. I don't know if Houston meets the academic requirements. I haven't looked into that. This is just, spitballing that one off the top of my head. And in the fact that they are definitely looking to push into the central time zone, because they did mention in the interview that time zones have been a thing, and that a lot of their games come on too late for people on the East Coast to watch, so they lose a bunch of eyeballs. So getting into that central time zone would definitely be a huge plus for the Pac-12. And so definitely, if you take the time zones and you look at who's in that central time zone, you kind of get an idea. Kansas State, Nebraska's not leaving the Big Ten, but Kansas State, Iowa State, the Texas schools, Houston would fit in perfectly because they're a city school, along with like Washington being in Seattle, and Cal being just outside of San Francisco, I think. Arizona State being in Tempe, and Arizona being in Tucson. There's a lot of inner city schools, Utah and Salt Lake. So those fit fine, and Houston would fit that mold. I don't know how well they do academically, but Houston to the Pac-12 would be something I'd definitely watch if they only added one of the Big 12 schools. Like I said, Texas Tech would be my odds-on favorite. And that would also give USC and Oregon State another game in Texas, another showcase for them, for recruits. And so Houston might be one you might want to watch too, as well as Boise State. I know that they don't help with that central time zone thing being in the Mountain West, but they have a brand, they have a following, they're not religiously affiliated. I don't know what academic-wise Boise State is in, but they have a history, they have kind of a cult following to them. They can be branded, and if you are looking for a team that if you gave them just a little legitimacy could be, the next big thing in power football, it could be a Boise State or a Houston. So those are two teams I'd definitely watch out for. And that's about all. Let me know if you had to pick two teams to go to the Pac-12, who are you picking? All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'm signing out.